Hi everyone, my nephew just came down today and he brought his bird with him. He recently got a green-cheeked Amazon, so this is Bubbles. And my nephew needed help trimming the bird's claws, but I thought this would be a really good opportunity to talk to you guys about what to do when you first bring home your bird. So when you guys first bring your bird home, I know that it's really tempting to want to take your bird out of the cage and start playing with it and interacting with it. But contrary to what you guys feel, it's really important that you guys, for the first day home, just let the bird kind of sit back, kind of relax and get used to its new environment. Because as you can imagine, for a bird, it could be really stressful coming from a breeder's house, coming from a pet store, and acclimating to a completely different environment. One of the most important things when bringing home a baby bird, and it can't be understated, and that most important thing is cage placement. Now I know a lot of you guys, and I know a lot of people are going to not watch through this whole video and they're going to comment right away, the cage is too small for the bird. And yeah, you're right. This cage is way too small for an Amazon. But the only reason why Bubbles is inside this cage right now is she's actually really young. She's actually still in the process of weaning right now. So the cage is so small, and it's small for a reason. That's because she's only starting to learn how to perch right now. So the cage being this small is for her to kind of learn and practice and learn how to perch. Once she grows a little bit older, we're going to transition her into a larger cage and hopefully into a large outside aviary, similar to the one that Smokey has. One of the most important things you guys gotta remember is birds live in trees. And they live in trees so they can escape a lot of the predators that would otherwise prey on them when they're on the floor. So what that means is when you guys bring home a bird, they're going to feel really uncomfortable and they're going to feel really insecure when they're on the floor. Don't place the bird's cage on the floor, because that gives the bird, it makes it really stressful on them. And if they're stressed out, your efforts in trying to train the bird and trying to socialize it isn't going to go so well. Ideally, I would recommend you guys place the bird's cage in a room where the family spends most of their time. Usually this is the family room. You also want to place the cage in such a way that it's at a pretty moderately high level. I would say anything from your waist level above is adequate. And the most important thing would be to place the cage snugly at least against one wall. And this is because birds are prey animals. As prey animals, they evaluate their environments right away. And they're going to look at you and think, okay, is this a person that can be trusted, or is this somebody who I should fear? What that means is on that first day home, you guys always want to approach your bird in such a way where you're communicating with them that, hey, I'm somebody you can trust. I'm a flock member. I'm someone you shouldn't be scared of. That means you should never sneak up on your bird. So when you guys are approaching your bird, always approach from the front, the sides, but never approach your bird from behind. That's why I place the cage against a wall. That makes sure that no family members can approach the bird from behind it, because that might really spook a bird, because again, they're prey animals. A predator would generally attack from behind the bird where the bird can't really see them. So you want to avoid that. The second thing I would do is when you guys are approaching your bird on its first day home, speak calmly. But make sure you guys are talking to your bird. Again, if a predator were to approach your bird, they would approach your bird by surprise, and they would try to take your bird by surprise. If you just quietly walk in the room when the bird's sleeping, and just sneak up on it, and all of a sudden it wakes up to find that you're next to it, it's going to spook thinking, oh man, this is a predator. So avoid all of that from happening by approaching your bird in a really calm way, but also talk to your bird while you're approaching it. That sends the signal that you're not a predator, but in fact you're somebody who they can trust. With a baby bird, when you first bring your bird home, offer a lot of different foods. Right now we're weaning Bubbles onto a pelleted diet, but at the same time, you shouldn't be feeding your bird only one thing. I offer her right now in her cage carrots, steamed broccoli, we have corn, we have oranges, we have apples, we have a variety of foods in there. And I also provide some seeds in there as well. When they're a baby, like how she is now, I soak in and moisten all the food so it makes it easier for her to eat. Now, the reason why we want to offer her an abundance of food, and this is called abundance weaning, is we want the bird early on to know that it has decisions to make in its life. And early on, they learn that they get to make choices that impacts their environment. And this is called empowering your bird, and it's really important. Alright guys, so aside from cage placement, another thing that's really important is because a bird this size and a bird that's this young is kind of like a sponge. But even if you guys are adopting a new bird, what's really important when you guys first bring your bird home, especially if it's a baby, you want to socialize and desensitize the bird to everything in its environment. Now, I'll put a link in my description box, but I have another video on my YouTube channel that talks about socialization and desensitization. And it's one of the most important things that bird owners need to do with their birds. And again, I can live with a bird that doesn't know how to talk. I can live with one that never learns a single trick. But you have to be able to socialize and desensitize your bird. And when you bring a bird home like this, a lot of people are really concerned about, hey, I want to teach it how to talk. I want to teach it how to do tricks. And I want to teach it how to play basketball. But you know what? All of those can be delayed. You can teach a bird that's 30 years old how to do all of that. But what you can't do later on, what's going to be really difficult to do, is to socialize and desensitize the bird so that it gets used to being handled by different people, but also with being in new surroundings and different environments. So what you want to do is, you want to kind of put and rearrange the bird's cage with different toys. You want to put toys early on in your bird's cage. That way they get used to seeing different colors, they get used to seeing different things. So all of a sudden, all of these different things, these different colors, these big giant wooden blocks, don't scare and they don't spook the bird. So when the bird becomes an adult, you can take them anywhere and they won't be that scared of it. But also what you want to do is you want to let different people handle your bird. What I would suggest is you guys keep a little canister or some kind of box in front of your bird's cage that says "Feed me." Inside, put in the bird's favorite treats. Encourage visitors, encourage your family members. Whenever they pass by the cage, talk to the bird and give the bird some of his favorite treats. That way they start viewing people as really positive things. When you guys bring your bird home, a lot of breeders and a lot of pet stores today are going to tell you that the first few weeks you need to establish yourself as the dominant flock leader. And a lot of people would say that you need to show your bird that you're like this leader, and you need to enforce the rules and make yourself seem as the dominant leader of the flock. I would actually disagree with that, and I disagree with that completely. I think the first few weeks your bird is home, what's really important is that you guys establish something else, something very special. We call that trust. And in a second, I'm going to open up this cage and I'm going to take Bubbles out. When I do, I want you guys to notice a few things. First of all, whenever you guys take your bird out of the cage, I would always recommend you pick them up, have them step up onto your hand, and take them out, rather than opening up the cage and letting them get out on their own. And the reason why I do that is because most birds, once they're tame, they find being outside very enjoyable. They love being outside. And you guys do that, your bird is going to be more inclined to want to step up every single time you ask them to. So I'm going to open up this cage right now. I'm going to take Bubbles out of her cage. And a lot of people are going to tell you guys to press your hand against the bird's chest and knock them off balance so they step up onto your hand. That's actually a really, really poor technique. And if they're telling you guys to do that, they don't know what they're talking about. So instead, I'm going to use food as a lure to try to get the bird to step up onto my hand in order to get the treat. I'm using just carrots right now, but you don't use carrots. You use whatever it is that your bird likes best. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this cage. I'm going to let her see the carrot and offer my hand, step up. In order to reach for the carrot, okay, in order to reach for the carrot, come on, and the carrot. And again, keep in mind that Bubbles is really young right now, so she might not even know, she barely knows how to perch, so I'm not sure if she knows how to step up yet. So I'm going to help her out a little bit. Let me go on this side. Come on, Bubbles. Can you step up? And we just play the waiting game, and there you go. She has almost one foot up. And sometimes these birds are going to use their beaks to hold onto your arm or your hand, and they're just testing the grip. That's perfectly fine. When you carrot, There you go. So guys, whenever you're handling a bird that you're unfamiliar with, especially when you're first bringing them home, note that I'm always looking at the bird. I'm not looking at the camera right now because I'm always in a split second, I'm always analyzing the bird's body language to see what the bird might do. Right now it seems like she's a little uneasy. She wants to fly off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place her on a higher level to make her feel more confident. Can you step up on here? That's a good bird. As you guys can see, she's flapping a lot. And this is amazing. I mean, to me, you'll notice she's not clipped. She got out of her cage, she started flapping immediately. And what I want to say is this. You should never clip your bird when it's this young. And I just think it's so amazing how birds are so well designed for flight. Everything about a bird, from its hollow bones to the way that they grow up. At the very beginning, when a bird is a chick, they're going to build up a lot of weight really, really quickly. And what you're going to find is that right before they learn how to fly, all that weight is going to start, they're going to start losing all that weight. And they're going to flap their wings so much because they're prepping their muscles, getting ready for that first flight. I think that is so, so amazing. And that's why I never take away my bird's ability to fly. Because, sure, right now, and I'm positive, if she tried to fly right now, she's probably going to have a crash landing. For the next few days, she's probably going to have several more crash landings. But if we work with her in a small room, she won't be able to build up enough speed to hurt herself. Birds in the wild will have a lot of crash landings. And those crash landings will get less and less frequent once the bird kind of develops and hones in their skill for flight. And you don't train a bird really how to fly. It's more of a skill that's developed over time. What you can do though is you can set up the environment, work in a small room, lure the bird with food, use recall as kind of a route, a method to get the birds to kind of hone in their skill on flying. And earlier on I said that your first few tasks isn't to build up these leadership positions with the bird, but instead it's to build up trust. And one of the best ways you guys can build up trust with the bird is to try to scratch their head. And to do that, I'm not going to all of a sudden, like some people that I see at pet stores, just reach in and try to just pet the bird all over and spook the heck out of them. I'm going to look at the bird. I'm going to approach them really calmly with my hand, saying, hey, see my finger there? I'm not a predator, because a predator would sneak up behind you. I'm not a predator. I'm going to go right near her head. She's going to test out my fingers. She's really curious about everything right now, so she's going to nibble on them. And I'm going to scratch her head. So guys, see how her crown right now is kind of fluffed up? That lets me know that she's really enjoying this. And I'm... Hey, little bird. And if your bird has all of its feathers tightly held to its body, it's running around, don't go chasing after them. Always keep your eyes on your bird. Remain cognizant of their body language and what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to nibble on you, just back off. Alright guys, so earlier on you saw that Bubbles was on a smaller cage. Once the bird grows a little bit older though, and once they learn how to climb, how to perch, I'm giving you guys a perspective here on the type of cage that I would recommend that's minimal for a bird this size. I wouldn't keep a bird this size in anything smaller than the cage that you see here. So what I would always recommend is I would recommend you guys get a cage, if you're going to have a parrot about this size, get a cage at least this big. The bigger the better. And if you could, try to get them an outside and outdoor aviary like the one that I have for Smokey, because it's so beneficial, especially when you're away for long periods of time. That way they can have more enrichment areas and more enrichment activities to do. But they also get access to natural sunlight, which is so important in helping them to absorb vitamin D3. Now when you guys bring your bird home, I know it's really tempting that you want to play with your bird for all 24 hours. But try to resist, and the reason is because you don't want to give your bird all of this attention when it's young. Then all of a sudden, when you, several years later, when you have a new job or something comes up, you can't play with it anymore, the bird isn't going to be used to that, and it's going to build up a lot of stress. So always, even if you guys have all the time in the world, make sure you're allowing your bird to play inside of its cage with its foraging toys, at least for some time during the day, so that it gets used to being by itself and it knows how to occupy itself. That way you guys have a bird that's really well-rounded when it gets older. Well, I hope this video was helpful, and if you guys are getting a new bird, I hope it offered you guys some insight as to what to do and what not to do. And for those who are watching, if you guys already have a bird, let me know in the comment section below if there was anything I missed, and if there's anything you guys would recommend for a new bird owner. Make sure you guys write below so that we can kind of get a different perspective from different bird owners. And thank you so much. For more videos on parrot training and videos like this, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.